Here is our sixth video in the series of modern decks that we would play right now in this current metagame. This is Rug Delver. This is actually the deck that I've worked with the most. I played this deck for quite a while on Magic Online, and so this deck I feel is pretty tweaked. It's tweaked pretty well. The main new addition to it was Izzet Charm, which replaced it. Originally, I had one more Burst Lightning and one more Spell Pierce, but I really like that Izzet Charm just kind of does all of it. In this deck, a lot of the times you'll get to late game, and once you get past like 5 or 6 mana, like to the point where you can Snapcast a Cryptic, you really don't need lands anymore. So late game, this card's very good to filter lands out of your hand for the draw 2 discard 2 ability, and obviously it operates as a spell pierce against combo or Liliana or anything like that, and just removal for things like Bob. This card's very versatile. The only weakness that it has, and one of the only reasons I'm not running more than two, is its weakness to Spell Snare, just because, I mean, obviously Spell Snare is a very good answer to it. So we're running two in the main right now. I haven't had a ton of experience with this card, but I'm really excited to test this card some more in Modern, and I just think that it's very good against, I mean, it's good against every deck out there. It's good against Affinity, it's good against Combo, it's good against Jund. So, I mean, maybe I'll add more later, but that's the only card I'm unsure about. Bonfire is one of the additions to the deck that a lot of people don't have right now, and I actually like Bonfire quite a bit because I mentioned earlier that we were weak to Soul Sisters, which is such a dumb matchup to be weak to, and I'm actually kind of embarrassed that this deck has trouble with it, but Bonfire is a very good answer to take out all their 1 toughness dudes before they get big and overpowered and whatnot. The obviously, if Soul Sisters kind of has the nut curve where they play their martyr and they turn the I'm sorry, I'm blanking on the names of the cards right now. The Serra Ascendant, I believe it is, and turn it. We don't have a lot of answers to the 6/6 flying lifelink, which is one of the reasons why I eventually started moving towards Bant instead of Rug, in order to have Path to Exile for cards like that, and also Tarmogoyf can be an issue for this deck to deal with sometimes as well. Although the Vidalcan Shackles is very nice, it's just sometimes it's hard to get up to like 5 or 6 islands to deal with big Tarmogoyfs or big Saracen and stuff like that. But actually, Vidalcan Shackles is probably your biggest win condition in this deck. It's just so good against decks like Jund, although they got Abrupt Decay, which is another reason why I'm not stoked about playing this deck right now in this metagame. But if I were expecting a metagame that were full of like Storm and Eggs and Combo and stuff like that, like this is the first deck that I would pick up because its matchup against Combo is just so good. You have an arsenal of counter spells, in not only in the main deck but also in the sideboard. All of these cards, I'm going to pull them off to the side here, and even the Snapcasters are kind of a counter spell. All of these cards are just, it's so hard for Combo to get try to start casting Seething Song when you're just holding up Mana Leak or Spell Pierce or Snapcast or Cryptic or clicking the most relevant cards out of their hand, and you're playing the early threats with like Delver, like you can get those out early before they start comboing and then just hold up counter magic. And this deck has a very good matchup against Combo, which is one of the reasons I picked up this deck in the first place. Was I do not, and I highly recommend that you do not play a deck that is weak against Combo. Because most of the combo decks are kind of cheap to buy into. They're generally pretty popular, so you want to know if you're going up against Storm that you have a very good plan to play against them. The sideboard, it gets even worse for them with this group of counter spells here. They can side in things like Defense Grid against you, although a lot of people haven't been playing Defense Grid, although that card is very good against us, so be aware of it. Ancient Grudge is a nice little answer to it, or Nature's Claim if you want to hit an artifact and an enchantment. This is kind of a nice little catch-all for, like, a lot of people will side in all kinds of different sideboard artifacts and enchantments, so Nature's Claim is a decent little sideboard option. Obviously, you have Ancient Grudge and stuff for Affinity. Burst Lightning is actually this is one of the cards that I've enjoyed having in the sideboard way more than I expected. Against Affinity or Soul Sisters or anything like that, having the extra 1 mana burn spell is really nice to have access to. Even when you go up against Merfolk, it like takes down a Lord. Same thing with Combust. Like, it's very nice against Merfolk in that matchup. When Merfolk is actually one of the decks I'm not going over, although when Gatecrash comes out, since Simic is kind of like Merfolk themed, I'm expecting Merfolk to maybe get some new. I mean, they just got that new Lord, but he's not really. He hasn't really like made the deck tier 1 by any means. But I'm hoping that Merfolk kind of leads away from mono blue and bleeds into another color and becomes a competitive deck in Modern, because it's a deck that I really like and would like to see it start getting play, even if I'm just playing against it. The extra cryptic, you have cards like this and Huntmaster are really good against Jund, because Jund is all about 2-for-1ing you, and sometimes like they'll play cards that it's just very hard to get value out of them. Like, you know, you have a Goyf on the field and they Bloodbraid into a Terminate and kill your Goyf, and it's just like, it's really, because you can't 2-for-1 that with any kind of counter spell except for Snapcaster. And so when you're playing in that Jund matchup, you really just want to be trying to get as much value out of your plays as possible, and just kind of hope they don't have Abrupt Decay for your Vidalcan Shackles, although they probably will, but who knows. One of the reasons Jund has kind of an edge in this matchup, and the popularity of Jund right now makes me not want to play this deck, but like Abrupt Decay was such a good addition for them to the deck, and it really does just kill every single one of our threats between Delver, Tarmogoyf, Click, Vidalcan Shackles, even Snapcaster if they need to. So it's like, and we can't like spell snare it, we can't do anything about it. If you wanted to run some kind of, I was thinking like Mizium Skin to protect against Abrupt Decay, because that's like what Splinter Twin's been doing, but that just seems bad. So if you're going to pick up this deck, just understand that your Jund matchup, it's not bad, but it's 50-50. It's just like you'll have to fight for your wins in that matchup. Whereas like you go up against Combo and you just have like an 85% win percentage. You obviously have Nature's. Actually, I was running 4 Ancient Grudge, but I like, instead of running 4 Ancient Grudge in most decks, I like running the split between Ancient Grudge and Nature's Claim, because a lot of people, well, they'll see you're holding open up like a stomping ground, and they're like, oh, okay, he doesn't have enough to Ancient Grudge, you know, this, so they go ahead and cast it or whatever. And Nature's Claim is a nice little card to have access to, just because not a lot of people play around it, and it's much easier. Like, you can play it, it's a nice little Snapcast target. I know Ancient Grudge flashes back, but Nature's Claim is nice to be able to have some enchantment hate while still contributing to the whole Ancient Grudge plan against Affinity and other artifacts like that. These are obviously in the deck for against Combo again. The Negate I actually bring in a lot more than you'd expect. This has been one of my favorite cards in the sideboard. Just as a one-of, it's really nice because there's always one card in your deck where you're like, Burst Lightning isn't very good in this, this matchup, so I'll side that out. Or sometimes Electrolyze against like Combo. You obviously bring that out in Bonfire. So there's quite a few cards in the deck where, and Vidalcan Shackles as well against Combo, that you need to bring out. So having access to the a good number of counterspells when you want to sideboard into the counterspell plan is very nice to have. And Negate's just been one of my favorites because they always expect a leak, and so they'll play around, they're like, okay, I have 3 mana, I can pay for the leak, but then you have Negate, and it just makes it really awkward for them. Pierces are amazing. If you're going to pick up this deck and you're expecting a heavy combo meta, I'd recommend playing a total of 4. I only have 3 here. Spell Pierce is a house against Combo, and Spell Snare is one of the best answers to Goyf and Snapcaster. So having access to a high number of Spell Snare, obviously, because Snapcaster, when you're playing like America Delver, any kind of Delver Mirror, or you're going up against Jund, like Spell Snaring their Bob or Goyf or anything like that, like this is a really good card in this metagame as well, and I'm hoping it gets reprinted because of how expensive it is right now.